One moment in my life which perhaps my professionalism was lacking a little bit, because as I turned round, the eyelashes and the hair of the princess were moving, caused by the fan. And that just struck me, just for
a second.
I had to turn away, think about it.
Years of investigation have revealed more chilling details on Princess Diana's death that will leave you stunned. More than 27 years after her tragic death, new insights about the accident that claimed her life continue to emerge.
Diana, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt when she died, had suffered a heart injury in the crash. It appeared that Diana was sitting sideways in the car when it crashed, and that the injury itself wasn't necessarily fatal if the circumstances of Diana's death had been different.
Filling in the gaps and uncovering truths that were once hidden in mystery. What was left out of the narration? What happened on the day of the tragic accident? Join us as we unveil the new, unbelievable details brought to light. More than just a chase. No royal loss has touched people's hearts and minds like the tragic death of Princess Diana. The tragic events of her final days continue to shock the world. Days before the untimely death, she arrived in Paris with her boyfriend, Dodi Al-Fayed, after spending 10 days aboard his father's luxurious yacht in Sardinia. Diana planned to return to London the next day to reunite with her sons, William and Harry, after their summer vacation.
It was the summer of 1997. Princess Diana was dating Egyptian playboy Dodi Al-Fayed. Over the years, it's been called Diana's last great love affair.
The couple intended to enjoy a quiet evening in Paris, but abandoned their dinner plans due to paparazzi chaos. Instead, they dined privately at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's family. Around midnight, they left for Dodi's apartment, using a decoy car to evade photographers. Tragically, their vehicle crashed in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel while speeding to escape pursuit. The accident claimed the lives of Dodi and the driver, Henry Paul, at the scene. Diana, though initially conscious, went into cardiac arrest and was rushed to the hospital. Despite surgeons' efforts, she was declared dead at just 36 years old. In the wake of her passing, conspiracy theories emerged, prompting the 2004 launch of Operation Paget, a detailed investigation into the accident. These investigations revealed some pretty shocking things. Investigations in both Britain and France examined the tragic circumstances of Princess Diana's death and largely supported the media's account, though they shed light on several important factors. In 1999, French authorities concluded that the crash was caused primarily by the actions of Henry Paul, the car's driver. Paul, who was the deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel, was found to be intoxicated at the time of the accident. He had been driving recklessly through the streets of Paris, attempting to evade pursuing paparazzi. While French investigators determined that the paparazzi following the vehicle were not guilty of manslaughter because they were at a distance from the crash site, a British jury reached a different conclusion in 2008.
Real shock, a real surprise. More so that the British Police, Scotland Yard, were actually talking about this because it gave it a sense of legitimacy.
The jury found that the aggressive pursuit by photographers contributed to the events leading to the collision, adding another layer of complexity to the tragedy. This devastating oversight was just one of many revelations that have emerged over the years, shedding light on the events leading up to Princess Diana's untimely death. But beyond the crash, more profound personal struggles defined her final years. What were the personal battles Princess Diana faced in the years leading up to her tragic death? And how did they shape the world's perception of her? Uncovering more secrets. In November 1995, just 2 years before her tragic death, Princess Diana sat down for an unforgettable television interview with Martin Bashir on Panorama, the BBC's flagship current affairs program. This interview became a global sensation as Diana openly discussed the problems in her marriage to Prince Charles, including both her own and Charles's extramarital affairs. The revelations sent shock through the monarchy, ultimately leading the Queen to urge Diana and Charles, who had been separated since 1992, to divorce. Following the divorce, Diana was stripped of her title, Her Royal Highness, and lost her royal security detail.
Diana and Charles's relationship has fallen apart. Both have had affairs, and both use the media to leak damaging stories and settle scores.
But how did Martin Bashir, then a relatively unknown journalist, manage to secure such a significant interview? It turns out that his methods were far from ethical. A graphic designer for the BBC later revealed that Bashir asked him to forge bank statements. These documents falsely suggested that a former employee of Earl Spencer, Diana's brother, had sold stories about Diana to a British tabloid. Bashir used these fake statements to gain Earl Spencer's trust, who then introduced him to Diana. Once Diana saw the forged evidence, she believed she was surrounded by betrayal and enemies, which likely influenced her decision to speak out. The unethical tactics behind this interview only came to light years later. In the documentary, Diana: The Ultimate Truth, investigative journalist Mark Williams Thomas speaks with Tom Mangold, a longtime Panorama reporter who had suspected Bashir's deception. Mangold recounts how a colleague confided in him about the forgeries. Our graphics artist, Matt Weissler, told me that Martin ordered him to forge 2 bank statements, Mangold explained. Despite raising these concerns with the program editor, his warnings were ignored. 5 months after the explosive interview aired, the Mail on Sunday confirmed the forgery, but the damage had been done by then. Diana's revelations had already captivated the world, and the royal family's reputation had taken a significant hit. The documentary also illuminates Diana's conversations with Bashir leading up to the interview. Diana's close friend, Simone Simmons, said Bashir played on Diana's fears and insecurities.
Mr. Bashir showed him fake bank statements, falsely suggesting people close to Princess Diana were being paid to spy on her in order to secure an interview.
These fears, stoked by Bashir's manipulative tactics, convinced Diana to open up on national television, forever changing the public's perception of her and the royal family. As the documentary goes deeper, it reveals how these fears were not limited to betrayal by those around her. Diana had long harbored anxieties about her safety. Security expert Graham Harding, speaking publicly for the first time, described how Diana feared her phone calls were being monitored. She hired Harding to sweep her rooms at Kensington Palace for bugs and secretly obtained mobile phones to avoid potential surveillance. These steps show how deeply Diana felt the pressure of being watched and manipulated in her final years. Diana's close friend, Roberto Dvorak, also shares a chilling insight into her mindset. According to Dvorak, Diana was convinced she would die young and in unnatural circumstances, like in an accident, helicopter, plane, or car crash. The interview revealed that much more was happening behind the palace walls than anyone had imagined. Yet, even more shocking discoveries soon came to light. What are these startling revelations? What could have been? In the gripping documentary, investigator Mark Williams Thomas revisits the events surrounding Princess Diana's final days in Paris in August 1997. She also retraced her steps, speaking with witnesses who have never shared their accounts publicly and consulting experts who were integral to the official investigation into the tragic car crash. One of the key voices in the documentary is Tom Treasure, a cardiothoracic surgeon who closely reviewed the details of Diana's injuries. Treasure explains that when Diana was pulled from the wrecked Mercedes, she was still conscious, but showing signs of internal bleeding. with a rapid pulse and dangerously low blood pressure.
The doctor says Princess Diana was clearly in pain. He grabbed his resuscitator to help her breathe.
She reacted with her arm. She was a little bit more conscious, but no words.
The princess never spoke.
He mentioned a critical detail. Diana wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was sitting sideways in the car when the crash occurred. This positioning led to a rare and severe heart injury. Treasure reveals that with quicker intervention to address her injury, there might have been a chance to save her. Treasure revealed that her accident was survivable, leaving viewers to wonder how different circumstances might have altered the course of history. The documentary also revisits the contentious issue of responsibility. In 2008, a British inquest concluded that the crash resulted from the gross negligence of the car's driver, Henri Paul, and the paparazzi pursuing the vehicle. French investigators determined that Paul, the deputy head of security at the Ritz Hotel, had been under the influence of intoxicants and prescription medication when he got behind the wheel. While in Paris, Williams-Thomas interviewed Martine Montet, the lead officer in the French investigation. Montet recounts the moments before the crash, revealing that the Mercedes collided with another vehicle just before entering the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. This initial impact caused the car to swerve, hit a curb, and ultimately spin into the 13th pillar of the tunnel. One of the most debated aspects of the crash involves claims that Henri Paul's blood alcohol levels were inaccurately reported or even falsified. Montet addresses these conspiracy theories head-on. She explains that blood samples were collected immediately after the crash and during Paul's autopsy, both of which confirmed the presence of intoxicants and antidepressants in his system. However, Montet clarified that the driver indeed had alcohol in his system but wasn't drunk. The documentary not only sheds light on new perspectives,
we found that alcohol can cause a slowing down of any reaction. So obviously, while you're driving, even a very small amount of alcohol may cause the slowing down reaction.
but also raises lingering questions about the circumstances and decisions that led to Princess Diana's untimely death. These questions led to suggestions that the vehicle was tampered with. Was it? A whiff of foul play. After the French investigation into Princess Diana's tragic death, the Metropolitan Police in England launched their thorough inquiry. They enlisted 3 forensic and traffic collision experts to examine every crash detail. Their mission was to determine if any tampering with the car carrying Diana and Dodi Fayed might have contributed to the accident. These experts later shared their findings on the television program Diana, The Ultimate Truth. David Price, one of the forensic accident investigators, explained his steps during the investigation. He noted how widespread tampering allegations had prompted him to suggest that the police acquire a car identical to the one involved in the crash. With a second Mercedes available for comparison, Price conducted a painstaking examination of Diana's wrecked vehicle. He described how he inspected the car's underside, looking for any signs of foul play. This included searching for evidence of foreign objects that might have been attached to the vehicle, or indications of a small explosion that could have disabled vital components. Price aimed to rule out or confirm any theories of deliberate sabotage by comparing the 2 cars. The team's findings, alongside other evidence gathered during the investigation, were intended to address lingering questions about Diana's untimely death. Their work contributed to a deeper understanding of the events that unfolded that fateful night, shedding light on what might have caused the fatal crash. This detailed investigation aimed to clarify and put to rest the many conspiracy theories that had emerged over the years. Through their efforts, they hoped to bring closure to a mystery that had captured global attention. What are some of the conspiracy theories that emerged after the death of Princess Diana? Rumors of pregnancy. According to Mohammed Al-Fayed, Princess Diana's tragic death was no accident but part of a sinister plot. Al-Fayed, whose son Dodi was romantically involved with Diana,
Dodi Fayed and Princess Diana were actually first introduced at a polo match that involved his father and Prince Charles all the way back in 1986.
claimed that she had become pregnant with Dodi's child, and this was the reason for her untimely demise. He believed the idea of an Egyptian Muslim potentially becoming the stepfather to the future King of England was unacceptable to the British establishment, leading to a conspiracy to silence her. Even before Diana's death, rumors of a pregnancy swirled. During a holiday in France a few weeks earlier, speculation grew after Diana hinted at a big surprise in cryptic remarks. Some tabloids seized on this, fueling the idea that she might be expecting. However, these claims lacked concrete evidence, and her close friends dismissed the rumors. The post-mortem examination did not indicate that Diana was pregnant. Blood tests confirmed the absence of any signs of pregnancy, and those close to her revealed she had a regular menstrual cycle, used contraception, and never mentioned the possibility of being pregnant. While intriguing, the claims of a pregnancy remain unproven. What other conspiracy theory gained traction? Unlived by the establishment. The belief that Princess Diana feared for her life has fueled many conspiracy theories about her tragic death. At the heart of these claims is a letter she reportedly wrote, which her former butler, Paul Burrell, revealed years later. Burrell said Diana had entrusted him with the letter, asking him to keep it safe. Diana expressed deep concerns in the letter, dated October of an unspecified year. She wrote about feeling vulnerable and longing for support during what she described as the most dangerous phase of her life. The most striking part of the note mentioned an alleged plan to cause an accident involving her car, leading to brake failure and a fatal head injury.
This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. Someone, the name blacked out, is planning an accident in my car, brake failure, and serious head injuries.
Diana suggested that this supposed plot was intended to clear the way for Prince Charles to remarry. The letter has an uncanny, almost chilling quality, especially considering later events. When Diana wrote it, she had already faced unexplained issues with her car and voiced fears about them. Additionally, her bodyguard had recently died in a crash, an event she reportedly suspected was no accident. While it's clear Diana harbored real fears about her safety, there's no official evidence to suggest she was targeted. Even though tensions existed between Diana and some royal family members, authorities have never confirmed any claims of foul play. This letter and Diana's fears continue to intrigue and unsettle people, adding an air of mystery to a tragedy that has already shocked the world. But how about the relentless press? The intentions of the paparazzi? For many years, photographers have been blamed for Princess Diana's death, and this theory continues to be widely discussed. The idea gained traction because it tied into a more significant concern that had followed Diana throughout her life. The constant intrusive attention from the media was causing her considerable harm. There are several versions of this theory. One suggests that the paparazzi deliberately chased Diana's car, forcing her Mercedes into a crash. Another theory proposes that while the photographers didn't directly cause the crash, their presence and behavior created a dangerous situation. The third version of the theory claims that the paparazzi unintentionally set the stage for the crash, which others later exploited to kill those in the car. However, official investigations into Diana's death presented a different picture. They noted that while the paparazzi did pursue Diana's car, they were not acting as a cohesive group.
Nevertheless, the photographers involved proceeded to snap pictures of the tragedy, even though witnesses stated that Diana was reportedly still alive at the time. 10 photographers present at the crash were subsequently arrested by French authorities.
The photographers often competed, each trying to get the best photo. They worked for different companies and had various roles, some even professional photojournalists. The investigations confirmed that Mercedes was speeding to escape the paparazzi. Still, after a thorough inquiry into the crash, Operation Paget concluded that the photographers weren't part of any criminal conspiracy. The paparazzi's actions were simply part of their usual pursuit of Diana, who was often hounded by the press. Interestingly, Diana had expressed concerns about the dangers posed by the paparazzi long before the fatal crash. She had written a letter in which she warned that she feared for her life, specifically that the paparazzi might cause her harm. This letter seemed eerily prescient, especially since at the time she had been facing problems with her car and had even lost her bodyguard in an accident that she believed had been part of a larger conspiracy. Despite the official findings that the crash was not the result of a conspiracy involving the paparazzi, many people continue to believe that the press played a role in Diana's tragic death. The continuing discussion about the paparazzi's involvement is fueled by the idea that their relentless pursuit of Diana contributed to a dangerous environment, one that she had long feared would eventually lead to a tragedy. Let's check out the driver's involvement in the crash. The driver's involvement. Henri Paul, the head of security at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, has been at the center of many conspiracy theories surrounding Princess Diana's death. Some people believe that Paul may have been working for an intelligence agency in France, the UK, or possibly both. They argue that the official story, which claims he was drunk at the time of the crash, is a lie. According to these theories, the media spread this false narrative to cover up the real cause of the crash. In some versions of the story, it's even suggested that Paul's body was swapped with someone else's to make the toxicology results look convincing. There are several reasons why people believe in these theories. For one, many think Paul didn't act drunk earlier in the evening. If he had been drinking, they argue, his behavior would have been different. Additionally, some believe that Paul seemed to have more money than expected, suggesting he could have received payments from an intelligence agency. This suspicion is also based on specific security officials hinting that a source might have been inside the hotel. However, despite these theories, no concrete evidence supports the claim that Paul was involved in anything more than what the official investigation revealed. Multiple tests confirmed that his blood contained alcohol, though there were some errors in the testing process. Nonetheless, repeated checks verified that Paul had indeed been drinking at the time of the crash. Another central aspect of the conspiracy theories concerns the car Princess Diana was traveling in when the crash occurred. Some people believe the Mercedes had been tampered with, or its route had been intentionally blocked. They suggest that the car was driving unusually fast, or something was wrong, causing the crash. However, investigations into the vehicle showed that it was in good condition, with no signs of tampering. The car was indeed driving fast, but there was nothing unusual about its performance. Much of the confusion surrounding the car's speed comes from the difficulty of estimating how fast something is moving. Witnesses reported different speeds, but this doesn't necessarily mean anyone was wrong. Judging speed accurately from the outside is hard, especially in the chaotic situation surrounding the crash.
Diana, Princess of Wales, is dead and Britain is in mourning. The 36-year-old princess was killed in a high-speed car chase in Paris early Sunday morning Australian time.
Despite the many conspiracy theories, official investigations have concluded that the crash was caused by Henri Paul's reckless driving while under the influence. While these theories continue to be discussed, the evidence supporting the official account of the events is overwhelming. According to some onlookers, something more bizarre occurred during the incident. What was it? Uncommon occurrences. Many witnesses reported seeing flashes of light as the car entered the tunnel where it crashed, with some suggesting these flashes might have played a role in the accident. However, the problem arose when people described seeing flashes at different times from various places, making it difficult to pinpoint exactly what happened. There were numerous flashes that night, from photographers chasing the car to the headlights of other vehicles on the road. But none of these flashes seemed intentional or part of any larger plot. Some conspiracy theorists have also claimed that Diana's medical treatment was deliberately sabotaged, suggesting that doctors allowed her to die on purpose by not providing proper care. The argument is that if she had been treated correctly at the scene or rushed to the nearest hospital, she might have survived. This belief is partly due to differences in the way emergency care is handled in France and the UK. In France, emergency teams tend to focus on stabilizing the person at the scene before moving them to a hospital, whereas in the UK, getting the person to a hospital as quickly as possible is prioritized. However, the Operation Paget report, which investigated the circumstances of Diana's death, concluded that for this theory to be accurate,
we have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
a large number of medical professionals would have had to break their ethical guidelines and lie about it. This, according to the report, did not happen. While it's impossible to know for sure if Diana would have survived if she had been taken to a hospital sooner, many doctors have said that her injuries were so severe that it was unlikely she could have been saved, regardless of the treatment she received. It is believed that Diana's death was not the beginning of the emergence of these theories. What exactly does this mean? The suspicious death of Diana's bodyguard. Conspiracy theories surrounding Princess Diana's life and death had circulated even while she was still alive, and it seemed that she might have believed some of them. In 2004, NBC aired a video in which Diana spoke about an affair with Barry Manicky, a former bodyguard she described as the greatest love I've ever had. She shared that their relationship had been discovered, and Manicky was removed from his position in the Royal Protection Team. Diana then claimed that he had been killed, stating, "I think he was bumped off." This statement caught the attention of conspiracy theorists who suggested that there was more to Manicky's death than it appeared. They speculated that a mysterious driver had somehow been involved in a plot to cause the motorcycle crash that took Manicky's life. The theory claimed that the motorbike he was riding collided with another car coming out of a junction, and it was implied that this crash was no accident, but instead part of a larger, sinister plan. As these theories continued to circulate, they became intertwined with similar beliefs surrounding Diana's tragic death. People began to question whether the circumstances of her passing were also part of a bigger cover-up. Some even suggested that her fatal car crash in Paris wasn't an accident, but was orchestrated by those who wanted to silence her. However, an investigation by The Independent uncovered the painful truth. According to their findings, the crash that killed Barry Manicky was, in fact, a tragic accident. The driver of the car involved in the crash had stopped immediately after the incident and cooperated fully with the investigation, even providing a statement to Operation Paget, which was the official inquiry into Diana's death. This investigation, which took several years, ultimately concluded that the crash was unfortunate and accidental. What do you think of Princess Diana's untimely death? Could there be an iota of truth to some of these conspiracy theories? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.